Hi, my name is Sheila Karuna. Welcome to Sassy Seer Sheila and New Light Streaming Love, as this will be seen on both channels. Joining me today is my housemate, Lisa Flamino Rush. I am,
Woohoo!
I am so glad. I am so glad that you came to do this with me today. We used to do this all the time,
No,
um,
right?
but we have had so many things change over the last little bit, and uh,
Yeah.
in the last year, everything was so different with you, which we are going to cover, right? I mean, we still
Yeah,
haven't really told that story.
I suppose you're right. Yeah,
And I really would
it's a
like to
big one.
say what?
And it's a big one. Took a whole year to live through. I mean, it was a whole year's of
Exactly.
fun.
And I definitely want us to do that. And if we have time today and you feel up to it, I'd like to do that.
Okay.
However, this one in particular,
Hmm.
um, I asked you to come and chat with me. Mostly because I don't know, I think you've been having this conversation a little bit more often than I have, but recently I had this conversation with a friend of ours, and I only have my own personal perspective on the conversation. I guess it is a broader, deeper conversation than really can be had through texting or a cursory
Yeah,
moment, really.
right.
And that is, and I don't even know what to call it. What is evil? How does one look at what's going on in the out there and classify, different things when I think some of the words that were used this morning were as different horrors are uncovered and revealed, um, the evil that we as humanity have done to each other, perpetrated upon each other. You and I were asked to take a look at a movie that we did watch, called Nefarious. And in this movie, an inmate in a prison claimed to be possessed by a demon. And there was various and sundry things occurred in that movie. And so I don't know, it just uh, sparked the conversation in regards to what is that. And and all I really have to go on is my own personal experience. And I know that you've had a personal experience as well. And see, my in my experience, I had an experience with another human being who I know changed. I could see the physicality behind his eyes change, and I felt like that which I thought I was dealing with as him as a person wasn't the same.
Right.
And I had instances at the hands of whatever that was that showed up. You and I both have talked about the demon they rode in on, so to speak, or I should say, is riding in on them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so, but I don't know. I guess it can be looked at from so many different perspectives. I mean, from the one perspective, in my experience with one of my exes, it really was, I feel, from my perspective, yes, different than him on his own. But it also could be said that it was a product of his trauma unresolved and acting on it or from that space that caused him to treat me in a particular sort of way.
Hmm.
And I'm speaking of abuse, not
Yeah.
just, verbal, but sexual and physical and all those sorts of things. And, that could be called, demon it, per se, because it certainly felt different than he did most of the time.
Hmm.
But I mean, you and I have had lots of conversations about this particular thing. And I think that, we don't, any of us really know for certain, except from our own experiences. And we all perceive them and this topic in particular, differently. And I'm not going to say I'm right, you're wrong, they're wrong, and I got all the answers, because I know that's not true. So,
Yeah.
but help me out here just a little bit, because I kind of feel like you and I feel basically the same about
Hmm.
this, but maybe a
Yeah.
little bit different too. So,
Well, of course it's different because we're different. Um, I think there's things that we agree upon. Like I know I've had the experience too of dealing with people in life, people that I know, closely, people that are related to me that show up extra on certain occasions. And I remember as a child literally seeing like a shadow figure directly above and behind someone. And more than one person. Like once I perceived it, I could perceive it, if that makes any sense.
yes, it does.
And so it was confusing to me as a child. And I think I've done a lot of work on that because it's obviously attached to some traumatic experiences in my childhood. And so I have had trauma attached to it for sure. Absolutely. And in some ways, it sort of helped me parcel out my experience, um, with people that I love and proclaim love for me, and yet could still do things that were, you would look at and say, that is totally unloving. And especially as a child, it's super confusing to hear the words, I love you, and to feel something that is completely the opposite of love in your interactions with that person. And it does like a traumatic scarring to your body, even. Like when we finally get to discussing what happened to me last year, we'll talk a lot about trauma and how it gets stored in the body. Because now that I'm on the other side of 25, I realize that a lot of, the foundational experience that led me to the physical illness that I had was that trauma that got stored and stuck within my cells. And I consciously set out to heal myself of my trauma, to face and embrace what was stuck within me. And so I've kind of had a almost reliving of certain experiences recently, and I continue to relive certain experiences that I simply have allowed myself to forget. And that's that tearing that I'm speaking on here. For me, it felt like I tore little pieces of the experience away and forgot about it. And of course, my body had to do something in order to secure that. piece of toxic material. It got ensconced in fat in my case. And so, and also it paralyzed my fascia. It began to strangle organs even. So, I know that this is a deep, but also important topic for humanity because I'm not alone in my experience. I would say I am in the majority. We all have been traumatized to some degree or another, but some of us to a large degree, like we have a lot of trauma, if you will. And I know in one case in particular, the it was trauma, I believe, at the root of the trauma I experienced was because this being had experienced similar trauma and never moved beyond it, not in a good way. And instead of becoming, healed or free of it, they became maybe captured by it and and became a victimizer themselves. And that's certainly an option. We've seen it play out all over this world.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
I guess if you were to look at that, you could make the argument that, humanity is a mess and there's no way out. I can see where, because I felt that way myself for a long, long time. And those kind of feelings piled on within me. And it wasn't until I began to really face what it was that I was running from, just within myself, um, that true healing has begun. And that's emotional and it's spiritual and it's physical as well. And I say has begun because I think as long as I'm on the planet here, that's what we're doing.
Right.
I don't think, I think once you graduate that realm, you leave the physical. And maybe it's not through a sudden death or someone kills you or, whatever, the way things happen today. You get poisoned, right, by the things that we're eating and drinking and doing, and then our bodies break down and we leave. But more of a like consciously dissolving the elements that make up your body in gratitude and saying, thank you for the experience. I'll move along. Because I really think that that is a thing. um, and I'm not anywhere close to that at all. But I feel like that's how we get there is to heal what's burdening us. And so it seems to me that that's what karma is, that which you cannot resolve within you stays for the next go round. So you start there and you work through it. And then every time you come back to this physical realm, you have another run at it.
That certainly seems to be, from the perspective that I see it, I would have to agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Specifically, I mean, a lot of the conversations that we've had regarding that have opened my eyes to, oh, wow, that explains so much.
Yeah. Well, for me too. I mean, and I'm open to changing my point of view when new data reveals itself to me, because that's kind of how this is, how I've got here is I ask myself questions and then data shows up and I make adjustments.
Right.
So, this is my current thinking on the subject, maybe is the safest thing to say.
Yeah,
Because
no, I agree.
it will change as I'm faced with new evidence. And I do that on purpose. That's by design, because I don't want to be trapped by false beliefs of my own making.
Right.
I want I want to be free, and so I have to allow for change. And to me, that's what being an eternal being is, because the only constant in the universe is change.
Yep, that's true.
So you have to be that which is unchanging, which is spirit. Spirit just is, but it changes all the time, and that's why it's eternal in
Right.
nature, because of the constant change. So if you aren't changing, then you aren't being the constant being in the universe. You aren't
That's true.
being the change.
The especially since you and I met and have been on this journey really ostensibly together for the last almost, well, 9 years for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
2016, November 6th or
I
7th.
know, I know. Um, the the thing that I absolutely know is that I've received a lot of new data, and being open to seeing things really is the only way forward for me. And I know that's the truth. And um, I've heard lots of folks say, well, I never would have set up this, that, or the other thing to experience. I cannot imagine that I would do that to myself, or you know, because one of the things that I have held and still hold is that we create our own reality, and that reality changes and breathes and moves as we change and breathe and move. And it is in part those beliefs that I hold that creates that reality. And the one thing I do know, like I was saying, that since we've been together, is that almost everything I've ever been told has turned out to be some sort of belief, or, and for the most part, an errant belief.
Yeah.
Not necessarily absolutely truth, and just an agreement that most people have agreed to, that this is the way this is, when in fact apparently not so much. And so, and one of those things, the biggest thing that I've noticed so far is that I mean, I'll go back to, you know that experience that I had in my room at the other house we lived in, where, I did the soul retrieval ritual with Lisa Risenberry.
Mhm.
You go through a ritual where what you're asking of the universe is for pieces of your soul to return to you, to me. This is what I did. Now, thank goodness you and I had a conversation in regards to what fear actually is before this experience happened. Because as I felt and something not of this world enter my bedroom, and what I saw behind my closed eyes was absolutely terrifying. But I had had that conversation with you about what Amelia Benz had said in a blog you read, or video that you saw,
Mhm.
about fear being an invitation. You want to tell that story that you
Yeah.
have from her? That would be lovely, because I that really served me well in
Yeah,
this.
me too. It was such a beautiful illustration of what she meant by fear being an invitation. Because as you know, we live in a free will universe. And so, and too, like it's getting back to how you started this conversation was that you would have never chose to experience X, Y, or Z. And yet here you are experiencing exactly that. Um, so because of free will, everything that happens to you is you could hold it as like a contract. You make contracts. So it would behoove one then to know, how do I make contracts? Because I those are not, you know, the life experience I am having, it's not the contract I want. It's generally why, we would make such a statement anyway. I would have never picked this.
Right.
Okay, so then you have to figure out, how did I pick it? Well, fear is one of those ways where you can contract. So she shared an experience that she had, and it beautifully illustrates contract, in my opinion. Um, she said she was lying in bed and she suddenly woke up and her eyes were open and she was just looking up, and she said a portal appeared above her bed, and she saw, a scary face. An entity had poked its head through, it was all teeth and claws, and she said it was attempting to contract with her. So he was looking at her and saying, just with his demeanor, he didn't speak, but he was
I'm a
saying,
scary so and so.
yeah, I'm a big scary monster and I'm here to make your life hell. I'm going to torture and scare you now. And she said, going into fear is agreement. You say, oh, look, a scary monster who's come to mess with me now. That's all the agreement that's required, and game on.
Right.
And I thought, oh, wow, that's beautiful.
And it makes a lot of sense when you think of
It does, because also I had been learning the mechanics of contracting. So what does it look like, feel like? What do I do to contract, right? Because I'm certainly, I don't have people saying, well, I'd like to contract to be your abuser for the next 10 years. How's that sound to you? Because I would say, go fly a kite. Thanks, but no thanks. I'd rather not. Um, so that's not how contracts are made. How are they made? How am I agreeing to this then? Somewhere, some part of me said, yes, this is what the reality. So I just wanted to, I wrote down experience because while you were talking, you had said, I believe we create our own reality. And I think sometimes when we say that, people can get confused and take it in a way that it's not fully intended, just in my opinion. And so now I like, when I speak on it, I like to say this: we create our own experience,
okay.
because that is
Right.
your
And
reality.
it's so interesting to me that you bring it up in that way, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, I was thinking on that very topic,
Okay.
and what I heard in my head was, and yes, a lot of people have trouble with that statement. And
Yeah.
yet, these same folks don't have any problem with saying, but you can do anything you put your mind to. I swear
Sure.
that's the same thing.
Yeah. Uh,
Just me, but I swear that's the exact
essentially.
same thing.
Yeah. Essentially. But adding the word experience for me helps me remember that I am in control, not of anything else that goes on here.
True.
Because sometimes then we want to say, well, I'm in control of all of this, then why is this going on? Because I
I
don't
got
like
you.
any of it. What it does for me is it reminds me where the control lies.
That's right.
And it is totally within me, not without me,
No,
not the things that I'm looking at or upon out here, but how I experience the things that I look upon out here.
that's right.
And that's a totally different ball game.
Yep. Thank you for that clarity because that actually uh, assists me in a lot of different ways.
Me too. And that's why I'm changing some of my terms, not necessarily for you to teach you or whoever's
No,
listening,
but for me,
but to remind me of where the power lies.
right?
And it isn't out there,
No,
and it is within here. And so I can take any experience that happens along, let's call it, and choose to experience it any kind of way I wish to. Period. End of story.
yep,
And when you begin to play with it in that way, everything changes. While simultaneously, nothing changes. So if you, the outside person, were to look at my life, you could say, your life sucks. And if you were right about the things you are saying to me right now, you would be sitting in a much better place than you are. And I would offer, what place am I sitting in? Because the only person that knows is me. And I might be perfectly happy in the place I am sitting in. But to you, it would make you uncomfortable, or to you, it looks uncomfortable. And
right.
that's fine. And the only thing that you're sharing with me in this conversation is what you're doing with your experience, because you don't define me and my experience with your observation of my experience.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
work that
right.
way. I define the experience for myself only. Now, your opinion of my experience is an invitation to contract. I could agree with you, and then I too could have a miserable experience and be quite unhappy where I sit. But since 2025, I have learned that that position, sitting in that position, accepting to contract with the negative experience, I'll call it, creates death in my body. And I don't wish to experience that anymore. So I like to look at it now. I choose life. And I can't maybe choose what life is doing, but I can choose how I respond and how I experience what life is doing. And that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, it sure
And,
does.
and because I am creational being, I am a being of creation, whether I want to acknowledge that to myself or not. It does not depend upon my belief system. It just is. And I know this through reflection in the rear view mirror. Um, and this is something I know to be true for my life. And so when I act on this knowing, this wisdom, I now have navigational skills. I can overwrite the experience with my own choosing, my own response, my own experience of it. And it changes my external environment, because that's how this works here. I can't unsee it now for myself. So if I think I'm unhealthy, if I think I'm miserable, if I think I have no um, health, wealth, wisdom, whatever it is I feel is lacking in my life in any particular moment, all I can see then, because I've contracted with those things, all I can see are those things. Those are my only options. And then I walk through life choosing those things over and over and over again, which just reinforces my belief system that says I have not whatever is on my list. And so I don't magnify, I don't attract, I don't experience those things. But when I choose my experience, because I'm telling you, put it to the test. If you think I'm full of crap, put it to the test, because that's what I did. And I noticed that what I focus on expands. Where my attention goes, my energy flows. So when you change your point of focus, you change your point of attraction. And when I feel abundant, I am abundant. And what I've noticed from that exercise, right, is that both things are present. The lack and the abundance of the thing, whatever, fill in the blank here, are both present and surrounding me in every moment. When I choose to focus on the lack of such a thing, I am choosing, I am contracting, I am setting my frequency set point to the lack of said thing. And that is what my energy is growing and magnetically pulling into my physical experience to reinforce my belief system.
Right.
And when I moved my belief system from the lack of to the abundance of, which is clearly also an option in every moment, in any scenario that you might be facing, it's there. And when I look at it, so like for instance, I would go into gratitude for something that I perceived is missing in my situation. So, like my health, I didn't have the health I wanted, but I was still alive. So there was still an opportunity for me to work with the health that I had. So instead of focusing on what I didn't have, which was an abundance of health that allowed me to do whatever I pleased, I focused where my health was. Well, I'm mobile, right? I can still choose what goes inside my mouth. I can still choose what I look at and what I entertain myself with. I can choose how I comfort me right now. And I grew those things. I contracted with those things. I put my attention on those things and they grew. And it went from one level of health to the next. And then I focused on that. Wow, look at me. I went from here to here. I have the power to move. I don't have to stay stuck if I don't want to. And
Right.
I don't want to. So then I focused on look what I can do now. And then more, look what I can do now showed up. And so really, there isn't anything on this planet that you can't be, do, and have at will, at your will. And that changes the entire game altogether. And it's not about looking outside of me and saying, but this shouldn't be happening and that shouldn't be happening. And in a free will universe, it's really not up to me to decide what you do with your will.
Right.
It's only
So,
up to me to decide what I will do with mine. Go ahead.
right. And so with that knowing that you have right there,
Yeah.
in thinking about this one topic regarding the evil on the planet, or these different things,
Mm-hmm.
because the conversation seems to go directly into that evil being something outside of, in my experience, I didn't create that experience with my ex, no, but I certainly magnetized it, at least in my view. I magnetized to that. That was a matching frequency within me, that something I would have never in a million years thought that I would, you know, set out for myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was, and you actually, you and I talked specifically in regards to that at least once or twice,
Oh, we
because
have.
that was a frequency that I was holding an opinion I was holding about myself
Mhm.
that was being magnetized to me. Did I say that right? I mean, I know
Yes.
I thought that was the case. And
Yes. You shared a similar opinion of yourselves. You had low self-esteem, he had low self-esteem, and that was the magical juju that created what was your marriage there.
right,
But then there's also, and I'm gonna jump over here now to where I know a lot of people have trouble with this. Yeah, but you were an adult or almost. And you chose to marry him. Okay, that's fine. But what about the children?
right.
The children who are innocent. And I understand that intimately,
So,
as I am also a childhood victim
which
of
is how
abuse.
I got to that point. I feel it was swimming in that same frequency from the childhood into the adulthood.
Right. And you take it with you.
Magnified.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so for me, I that oh boy, that wrangled me for many, many years. It caused a lot of stress for me, a lot of angst, a lot of depression. And it actually was through lots of conversations with my greater being, um, and other beings, guardian angels, or ascended masters, however you want to label them. I'm not hung up on labels anymore as far as that goes, but I know that there are portions of me that have I want to use the word matured, but I don't know, had enough experiences now that they've gained new insights and have totally different perspectives on the subject than I currently have. And so I like to entertain conversations with the parts of me that can bring me comfort. And so throughout years and years of, and I would journal it out, these conversations, I have come to learn that our souls come with a purpose, right? Like, first of all, the free will universe was created to know thyself. So let's just say the game of life is about God playing hide and seek with itself, the one being. There's just the one being here. But it wanted to move from a conceptual awareness of self to a experiential awareness of self, knowing through experience.
Right.
And so it needed to experience itself. And the physical reality allowed it to sort of part and parcel pieces of itself out so it could forget it's just the one being momentarily and then look back upon itself from every angle. And ooh, what a beautiful idea and creational experience this is. I see the wisdom in it now.
I
Like,
do too. But
wow, I am
very
in
minute
awe.
you say that, a lot of folks go anaphylactic, for lack of a better term, because now you're speaking in blasphemous terms. You're claiming to be God, kind of thing,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, they killed Christ for it. So I get it. People are upset by such But to me, that's programming, and that hurdle can be overcome because I was raised with about as much programming as one could be raised in as one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right.
A lot of that
Trust me,
kind
the
of
only ones that aren't
programming.
I feel like Baptists and Jehovah Witnesses are about neck and neck right there as far as
Okay, sure. Yeah, so for me, I guess getting back to the abuse and the children piece is that the soul came because it desired to have a specific experience. It knows who you're born to and why. And it's all opportunities. So, I love the book. I think it was called, the name is eluding me. It was a book written by Wayne Dyer, like The Star and the Sun, or The Little Soul and the
well,
Sun, or
that's a
something.
Neil Donald Walsh, and I've got it on the
Okay,
channel if you want to
okay,
hear
there it
that.
is.
I did. I
Yes,
recorded that for the channel, or I no, I think I didn't record it. Somebody else recorded it, and the video is on the channel. Look under the hashtag puzzle piece alert, and there you'll find a video of the little soul and the sun.
there it is. Oh, it's so good. It's
And it
so
was
good.
Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God.
Yeah, because it's really illustrative of the care and the concern that goes into choosing to experience abuse, really. And it serves a greater purpose. It actually does. And if you can get right to that spot with it, um, which I finally was able to do,
Me
because
too.
it's all about alchemy, right? It's all about transforming, taking a situation that is seemingly devoid of love and bringing love to that space. And from that point of view, I could see where I would choose to do that.
Me too.
It made perfect sense to me because I'm all about the unconditional love.
Right.
And yes, it would be challenging to love someone who is doing you wrong, right? But also a golden opportunity to know yourself as unconditionally loving. And in my opinion, nothing more powerful. Nothing more powerful could I do than to love my oppressor.
Yes.
And I know that sounds crazy, but give it a try. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about
Yeah.
and what I'm feeling.
Yes.
And so when you are in resistance to why you came here, you will be in pain and suffering.
Yeah.
But when you embrace the why you came here, and it's personal and it's different for everybody, and that's why I say that. When you embrace the why you came here, then your life will feel magical and you will feel alive and powerful and omnipresent and omnipotent and all the other blasphemous points of view that one could have.
Yeah. I have to agree.
And they bring so much beauty and love to this planet that I feel like that's the real reason we came. Because we already knew what was here before we came. And we didn't come here to get mad at it or to be beat up by it or to be upset by it. We came here to transform it. And that begins with you. The transformation doesn't mean your enemies turn into your best friends. It is the transformation comes from within you. You take a bad experience and transform it into a good one. And if everyone were to do that, think about it. If everyone were to make the choices that I am making right now, which is to choose to love unconditionally everyone and everything as the one being that is here, that behavior would disappear overnight.
Yep.
Because once you know yourself as an unconditionally loving being, you would never beat yourself up or anyone else ever again. And that would be the end of it. So actually, the power to change all of this is within each one. And it's the only way, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
And to me, that is how Jesus saved us all,
Well, and
because
I
he
feel like
saved the one being himself, and he
that's the
saved
meaning of
himself
the twinkling
by
of the eye, isn't it?
what's that?
That is what is behind the meaning of how it all changes within the twinkling of an eye.
That's right. Yeah, the minute you choose love, your suffering ends. It's over. The pain is gone. And Christ did that on the cross, on the stake, however you want to look at how he died.
Yeah,
But he could have said, listen, all you effers suck rocks. You people have done nothing but torture me for sharing the truth with you, and I don't like any of you. This is evil. That's not what he did.
no, not at all.
No, he said, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing, which is actually killing themselves.
Right.
They were all dying on the inside while he was freeing himself of pain and suffering. He didn't suffer and curse those people that killed him.
No.
He loved them through the whole thing.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do for sure.
And I was asked too if I thought that it was changing, and I do feel as though there's been some great progress made, no matter what the out there might be trying to convince. And it seems like it works a little overtime trying to convince some folks, but it feels to me, at any rate, in my local vicinity, the different beings that I come in physical contact with, not
Mhm.
just in this house, because that's a thing, but in the public, in the out there, I have had more. I just the experiences that I'm having in person with people, it, it is a palpable feeling of things have changed muchly. And so, I don't know, is that just a perspective that because I hold it, I attract it?
Yes.
It could
Think about
be.
it. Everything is always changing. It's constantly changing.
Right.
And so you're either focused on the changes that are for the better or the changes that are for the worse, because they're both there to be enjoyed, if you will,
True
to be
enough.
experienced. And so I would say your opinion on the subject has changed, and so has your experience to match your opinion on the subject.
Right.
And so I realized that a lot of times my opinion on the subject, whatever it is, was out of alignment with my soul's opinion on the subject.
Mm,
And that's what causes pain and suffering. So when you're feeling pain and suffering, it's a good time to check in with your soul, your spirit. What is its opinion on the subject? What does it wish to experience? How does it wish to interpret what's happening right now? And align yourself with it. Because that's where the love is. That's where the power to act now is. And all the benefits that you're looking for to happen on the planet, really the solutions are within your soul. It's within your spirit.
And now you know that there will be those who are out there looking at this video and they will say, well, how how do you do that, Lisa? How do you question your soul? How does that even work? Because and because that was a question that I had
Yeah.
early on, and sometimes I still struggle with getting in there and doing the work because it is an inside job.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I would say, so how do you get to know anyone? How do you get to know someone, including yourself?
because there's a lot of folks who haven't a clue as to how to do, because I used to have that same question. What do you mean go within? What in the hell are you talking about? Go within.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
How did
so
you
so think about it in terms of you want a new friend. You meet somebody and you want to be friends. Like think back, Sheila, to when you and I met for the first time. What happened? What did we do? Do
Oh
you
my
recall?
word, we hung out in Zoom 24/7.
And then how about when we got together in the physical?
Oh, Val, that was delicious. I'm sorry, I cannot ever forget that. You grabbed my hands and jumped around my living room and said that you felt like you were on the set of your favorite TV show.
Yep. Well, because I watched you through the screen for
Right. And it was,
years.
I don't know, it felt like pure magic when we got together. I am not gonna lie. And I, for the first time ever, got the word twin in my head.
And what did we do for months on end? Well,
We
we still
did
do, but
nothing but talk. From morning, noon, and night, we sat in my living room. That's why I started the Conscious Conversation Central, because the conversations that we were having were so helpful to me that I just knew that more folks could benefit from just listening to the conversations we were having, whether they ever joined in the conversation or not, because it was so helpful to me. I just knew that just being, well, knowing that these kind of conversations, can, and in my view, should be taking place. So what you're saying is that, okay, great, but not everybody has somebody to do this with, but they
oh,
can do
hold
it
up.
on
I'm
their
gonna I'm
own.
gonna call you out on that.
That's what
And
I'm
I'm
saying.
gonna
They can do it
say,
on their own.
I'm going to say your soul is that person. And I had the same enthusiasm to sit with my soul that I had to spend with you.
I gotcha.
And my soul had fed me the wisdom and the joy. My soul jumped around the living room with me and said, thank you for showing up. I've been waiting for you your whole life to turn inward and face me and talk to me and spend time with me and love on me in this manner. Thank you for showing up in my life. And I had to say the same thing. Only my soul, only I couldn't say thank you for showing up. It was showing up. I was ignoring it.
I
But it
gotcha.
was never mad at me for ignoring it. Ever, never. But it was so happy and it celebrated me and danced me around the room because I took the time and the focus and the attention to reflect upon who am I really and why am I here? And it couldn't wait. It had all the answers, but it needed me to ask the questions. It needed my focus and attention inwardly so I could hear and respond to the words and the images and the feelings and it was such a it's such a much deeper relationship even than what we have.
Right. And
Because
that
the
is,
jokes, the inside jokes don't even have to be articulated.
no, you're
They just
right.
are.
It
And the
was
body
only
rushes.
through those conversations that I realized that what you were saying was so. And what then began my knowing about focus and attention,
Yeah.
turning that focus and attention inward.
It's a powerful thing, your focus and attention. It's
Yes, it
everything
is.
in this world. It's everything.
Yeah. And
And so where
and
is it?
getting in there and hearing your soul is important in these moments of now, also
Listening.
because that is where discernment comes from.
Yes. And so in the beginning, it's very conversational now because I've learned the language of my soul because I spent the time to get to know it. So in the beginning, it was very slow. I'd ask a question and it might take me 3 weeks to understand the answer or to recognize it. But because I hung in there, I never gave up trying. I consistently showed up for myself, with myself, by myself, frequently. And the more I did it, the more priority I gave it, the closer we became and the easier it was. And now my soul is my best friend and the first one I go to for everything.
And would you say that part of that language that you now recognize of your soul has, because I'm just now, I was asking myself, what is the language that I recognize when my soul is communicating with me? And well, I got several flashes. I got
Okay.
the music that I will sometimes hear as an earworm is a communication from my
Mm-hmm.
soul.
Mm-hmm.
The synchronicities, like we
Yeah.
discovered in regards to the Celestine prophecy, that is the language of my soul because it
Mm-hmm.
will, as I ask questions, things will show up in my field as answer. And I'll point to yesterday's reading and the few days before that in regards to the whole Quicksilver business I shared with you yesterday
Yeah.
about that. And those are all but if one isn't focused on the inner, giving that focus and attention on the inner, then it's easy to miss
Oh,
those
yes.
things.
Yes. We train ourselves to edit that out by just kind of backhand and for
Swiping.
me, yeah,
Swiping. Yes, that's for one thing. And
I
also,
love it. Swiping, yeah.
right. And also, oh, that's just coincidence, which I'm sorry, I don't believe
Yeah, I was very quick to dismiss um I'm going to say my first thought. And generally for me, it's my soul is right there with the answer, like immediately. And then I got this other part of me that says, yeah, but that can't be right because please, you didn't even consider this. So how does this fit in? What, and why would I? And I wouldn't even, and how do you know that anyway? Who the hell are you? Right? And so guess who I was following?
where's your credentials? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's what I just heard.
Yeah. That's right. You're a nobody. So don't listen to you for Christ's sake. And so I didn't. But through careful observation and reflection, I noticed I always had the right answer. But it was just the first one that would pop up and then, well, that's it. It was just an option. And I realized that I talked myself out of listening to my soul repeatedly. And that's why I do that. I dismiss that, or whatever that is. But in a free will universe, the soul isn't going to conk you over the head. Now, the universe might.
That is a thing. Let me just
If you
say,
don't realize that you're creating this scenario that's out there,
right.
and then you get mad at it and start creating, well, it's just going to keep powering back and blowing up in your face harder, faster, deeper, more pain, more intensely.
Yeah, I
But
used to
that's
call
not your
that the
soul punishing you for not listening.
right.
That's not how this works at all.
No, no,
No, it's just
but the
your choice
universe might.
amplifying because every time you have an emotional response to something, that's like you pressing on the gas pedal. And so you're moving faster, and the faster you're moving when you hit that brick wall, it's not the fast movement that's so difficult for most people.
No,
It's
it's the
that
quick stop.
sudden stop at the end, So
Well, I used to call that the tap slap 2x4 effect.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. And hopefully you'll get your own attention
yeah,
and realize that I'm focusing on all the wrong things here and I'm getting mad about it. And
right,
so now I'm really adding fuel to this fire. I've got this big fire going and I'm, squeezing the gasoline can out on it and expecting it to put out the fire and then being so surprised when my fire grows.
right.
So,
So in terms of uh because it's just well I did another recording this morning of Jason's that I couldn't understand. I went to record this. I had some things set up. I was going to record this and this and this, and this came up in my field, which I wasn't going to record. And I got that, oh yes, you got to record this and you got to record it now. And now with this conversation and the rest of
well,
what has transpired.
especially with what's going on out there right now. And and I think it's only see, I'm looking at what's going on right now and I feel excited. And I know people are going to have a problem with that too, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with whatever you want to respond with because that's for you. But for me, I have been very upset that the world couldn't see the fraud and the corruption and the torture of children because I somehow got privy to it very early on, probably because I was at the frequency of that. I was the
Right,
victim frequency and I saw it everywhere I looked.
right,
And so I was very hurt and mortified and quite upset. And when I tried to speak on it, people got really mad at me and said, first of all, that's all BS and you're causing torture for yourself for no reason. Like, what are you even doing? Stop that. And certainly don't bring it around me because
mhm,
I don't want to think about stuff like that. And you're hurting yourself and me now. So please stop. And I thought, oh my God, there's no hope for humanity. We're never going to get out of this. People can't even acknowledge the situation. We certainly will have no power to change it if we can't acknowledge it. Well, we're really stuck here. And now that I have a better working understanding of how we create, what I see when I look out at the world right now, this chaos is beautiful. I don't know if you've ever seen the sand on the seismic plate and they play frequencies on it and you see as you go from one frequency to another, either leveling up or leveling down, doesn't matter. The sand, which at a solid frequency will create a geometrical shape, right?
right,
And when you change it, it will disintegrate that shape and it looks like chaos. And then if the longer it plays, all of a sudden they jostle into a new position and there's a whole new shape taking place, right?
right,
And so when I see the chaos of right now, I see that leveling up from one frequency to another, and it's shaking everything up at its foundation. And suddenly we don't even see any geometric shape. It just looks like static, noise, chaos. But if you watch it, it's actually repositioning. A piece of sand that might have been way over here is across the board and right front and center and in this beautifully intricate, wonderful piece of the new sacred geometry.
right.
And so for me, I see it as clues that enough of us are doing the inner work that we're changing the outer reality. Because to me, society is a consensus. So it is in aggregate, the energetics that we agree upon being expressed as our outer environment. And as our inner environment, it's a reflection of our inner environment. So as our inner environment begins to change, so too must our outer environment.
Right.
And I really see it as, just to speak to your experience or your comments about your experience of the public. There are so many more people out there being patient and loving with one another at this, in the grocery stores, in just whatever scenario. To me, that's all pointing to people are growing more love, not less, within them. And the more that we do that, that it's impossible for the outer not to reflect that. And even though things might look a bit chaotic now, I believe it's because I'm seeing it. We're in that readjustment period where nothing looks like it used to, but the new has not fully developed. We do not see the new, beautiful, more intricate beauty of the next design that
Right.
is coming forward. And so I like to just look at what is happening now through the lens of love. And then, honestly, I am shown the spectacular things that are taking place that are proving to me that things are getting better and not getting worse.
No, I agree. Well, Lisa, I'm so glad that you agreed to come and have this chat with me. And
Well, me too, because I miss our chats. We used to have a lot of fun, just sharing our conversations, because this is something we love to do all day long.
yep,
And I know that we have had some viewers in the past that are now very good friends.
yes,
And I know they're missing our conversations because they're reaching out a lot more.
yeah, that's
And so I'm happy to share our conversations and to share our happiness, because both of us are happy gals
yep,
and we're having a good time.
yep.
And it's not easy right now to find examples of people who are full of joy. I get that.
No, that's
But
true.
once you fill yourself up with joy, you will magnetize those people, because you'll magnify them with your focus and attention, right?
That's true.
And they'll fill in your entire screen. And before you know it, they'll be pulled right into your physical experience, like we're having.
That's very true.
So, and we've been having really fun and exciting time studying books with people in this way.
That's what I wanted to
We
bring
have
up. I wanted to bring
Yeah,
up,
so I love that we are making this community on the YouTube channel, that we can all share in helping each other with our focus and attention.
yeah,
And because, when we get together as a group, boy, the energy of learning, we show up with the intent to learn more about who and what we are,
right.
right? Grows exponentially in the presence of others with the same intention.
That's right.
That's a powerful thing. It's palpable.
It really is.
It feels
And so
amazing.
I want to invite everybody to, if you would like to join Lisa and I
Thank
for
you.
this book, we're getting ready to do the Celestine Prophecy and Experiential Guide. And I'm not closing it until after the 14th. So if you want to join us, send me an email, consciousconversationscentral@gmail.com. I'm going to be putting that in the show more section. And, if you want to get a sense of what it's like to be a part of our book club, there is I believe there's at least two published videos on the channel right now of book club chats that I asked the gals if they minded that I publish, because I don't publish them all. Only when I'm nudged to share them do I publish them. But you can get a sense of what it is, because it's different than a regular book club because we read the book together and we take our time. We stop and chat when we feel anyone in the group feels to chat, ask questions, to discuss things amongst each other. That's what I think you were referring to, Lisa, that it makes it much more enjoyable. I found to do it together. We take turns reading. So it's just a lovely group and time that we have. It's 2 hours once a week. We haven't settled specifically on a day or a time just yet. We have one tentatively, but we just wanted to see if anybody else wanted to join. And so, yeah, send an email that says you would like to join. There's no charge for anything that we do along those lines or anything like that. No dues, no nothing like that. So, just your focus and attention, and that's it. And I wanted to say that before we stop this video here. And to say too that look for the conversation with Lisa about her experiences, because that's been quite the journey as well, and I'm really
Mhm.
looking forward to doing that with you very soon.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, so thank you for coming today.
Oh, thank you for
And
having me.
I would love if anybody has any questions for either one of us and you don't feel like putting them in the comments, send an email to consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. And, I'll see to it that Lisa gets your email if you want to direct it to her, or if you have a question directly for me. And, or if you would like to join a conversation, whatever that is, feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe, whatever you feel to do. And, like I said, this conversation will be here on Sassy Seer Sheila as well as on New Light Streaming Love. And so there will be a lot of different things happening as we grow these channels again. Now that, some of the health things are really on their way in a different direction
Yay!
for both of us. Yeah. Um, I think that's about it for this one. How about you? Do you feel?
Yep. No, I feel quite complete. Thank you so much. It was
No,
fun.
I thank you so much. Until we meet again, I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It truly is just a matter of your perspective and your perception of that perspective. And if you don't find joy in what you're doing, I invite you to do what Lisa said about getting your into conversation with your soul. Because I tell you what, man, that is some of the most joyful stuff going right there.
Mm.
Till next time, be well, my friends.
Much love, everyone.